Let me share something with you that will fundamentally alter your perspective. This isn't wisdom your mentors whispered during childhood. This isn't curriculum from traditional education. This contradicts everything mainstream culture promotes. Most individuals will reach their final days completely oblivious to these revelations. That's precisely how established systems prefer it. Once you absorb what I'm revealing, there's no reversing this understanding. Knowledge that divides existence into before and after comprehension. 5 centuries past, Niccolò Machiavelli documented humanity's most perilous truths, so threatening that religious authorities prohibited his writings, so influential that monarchs, commanders, executives, and military leaders studied these concepts privately while publicly denouncing them. Why this contradiction? Machiavelli didn't theorize. He created humanity's instruction manual, not idealized versions of ourselves, not aspirational fantasies, but authentic human operation. Here's what should alarm you. Those already possessing this knowledge exploit it against you constantly, in corporate environments, in personal connections, in governmental systems, in warfare. They're strategizing while you're reacting instinctively. Consider this. Why didn't your mentors share these insights? Why didn't educators? The explanation is straightforward. Their guides never taught them, and society has conditioned you to believe that perceiving reality breeds cynicism, that planning creates manipulation, that grasping power corrupts character. Yet here's uncompromising reality. Naivety isn't morality. Naivety represents vulnerability. Starting immediately, I'll empower you. I'll provide clarity. Once you recognize these truths, human interactions will never appear identical. Before proceeding further, engage with this content, subscribe, and activate notifications, because what follows will transform your worldview permanently. You won't want to miss subsequent revelations. You've been conditioned to believe humans operate rationally, weighing alternatives, calculating consequences, making logic-based decisions. That's deception, among the most hazardous deceptions you've accepted. Machiavelli recognized truth 5 centuries ago. He documented, individuals evaluate primarily through observation rather than experience. Everyone can observe, while few can truly understand. Translation: people choose based on appearances, illusions, superficial correctness, rather than genuine accuracy. Here's harsh reality. Most individuals don't seek truth. They seek comfort. Consider examples. That friend seeking relationship advice but dismissing guidance because truth causes discomfort. The colleague lamenting financial struggles while wasting money on daily luxuries because routine provides satisfaction. The woman claiming to desire respectful partners, yet repeatedly choosing men who treat her carelessly. Logic perishes when confronting desire. Reasoning dissolves facing fear, attraction, status, or comfort. You've been playing incorrectly. You've been instructed to convince through facts, win debates with evidence, demonstrate rational pathways. But facts don't motivate people. Emotions do. The individual who masters emotions, who bypasses logic and communicates directly with feelings, dominates every environment he enters. That person doesn't waste energy proving correctness. He makes others feel his correctness. This possesses infinitely greater power. Examine history's greatest manipulators. Hitler didn't achieve power through data and analysis. He rose through speeches igniting anger, fear, and hope. Corporations don't earn billions displaying product formulas. They sell happiness in bottles. Religions don't spread through philosophical arguments. They spread by capturing hearts, souls, damnation fears, and salvation promises. This explains your failed arguments. This explains ignored advice. This explains why people you want to influence escape your grasp. You believed people were rational. They aren't. They're addicts pursuing emotional satisfaction. Here's your first dark revelation. Stop attempting to change minds with facts. Start shaping emotions. Want followers? Don't tell them what benefits them. Show them what makes them feel valuable about themselves. Want to influence decisions? Don't argue logic. Make them experience loss potential or satisfaction in pleasing you. Want business dominance? Forget statistics. Create narratives making your audience believe you're the inevitable victor. The person arguing with facts is an instructor. The person manipulating emotions is a leader. Once you understand this, you'll see through everyone surrounding you. The politician's facade, the influencer's image, the colleague's pretense, all disguises designed to protect feelings, not reveal truth. Once you recognize the mask, once you know every action stems from emotion, vulnerability, hunger, you can control the strings. That's merely the beginning. If people are irrational, then loyalty itself becomes illusion. This leads to Machiavelli's next warning. Only two types of individuals exist: hunters and hunted. That's everything. Remove polite facades, politics, morality, and you discover the ancient principle: the powerful take, the powerless are taken from. Here's the hidden cruelty. Weakness doesn't just fail to protect you, it attracts predators like blood attracts sharks. Consider, why do bullies target quiet children, not fighters? Why do corporations eliminate weakest employees first? Why do women abandon compliant men and gravitate toward firm ones? Because predators always select easy targets. Machiavelli understood this. He wrote, "Better to be feared than loved if you cannot achieve both." Not because fear is noble, but because fear repels wolves. Love without strength invites betrayal, but fear without love ensures survival. Here's the sinister reality. Most men never realize weakness doesn't just destroy you, it corrupts everyone around you. A weak man forces others to support him. A weak man drains the strong until they either abandon him or collapse together. A weak man makes existence harsher for everyone else, because when predators consume him, they don't stop. They seek the next victim. That's why weakness surpasses cruelty in danger. Cruel men at least maintain independence. Weak men become vortexes, pulling others downward. Yet society instructs you to be harmless, to soften yourself, to embrace weakness, labeling it sensitivity. They call it being a better person. But here's truth. The man who cannot defend himself, his family, or his reputation is not a good man. He's a burden. Strength is not optional. It is survival's price. Once you accept this, the world appears different. Every interaction becomes evaluation. Who is hunter? Who is hunted? Who is strong enough to establish rules? And who is weak enough to follow blindly? This explains why women pursue men radiating strength, because instinctively they know weakness cannot protect them. This explains leadership emergence, because people prefer obeying the strong rather than being torn apart in weak leadership's chaos. And this is why you must decide, will you be hunter or hunted? Your father, your teachers, perhaps your mother. They all conveyed the same message: be pleasant, be agreeable, don't create disturbances, don't upset anyone, and people will like you. They lied. Machiavelli observed it centuries ago. He wrote, "Men are so simple and so inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims for his deceptions." You see his meaning? People confuse weakness for goodness, they confuse obedience for virtue, and they confuse being pleasant with being valuable. That's why women claim wanting nice men but end up with rule breakers. That's why companies praise team players while promoting ruthless strategists. That's why the world continues rewarding those you call rebels, tyrants, sharks. Because here's truth: pleasant is not identical to good. Pleasant is avoiding conflict because you're afraid. Pleasant is saying what people want to hear so you'll be accepted. Pleasant is seeking approval, hoping for validation scraps. Good is something entirely different. Good is having difficult conversations no one else will. Good is saying what needs saying, even when it makes others uncomfortable. Good is standing firm in principle, even if it makes you hated. Pleasant men chase approval, good men earn respect. Here's the brutal twist: women don't respect pleasant men. Bosses don't trust pleasant men. Friends don't follow pleasant men. Because pleasantness without strength is just disguised weakness, and weakness is repulsive. Examine history. Were greatest leaders pleasant? Caesar? Alexander? They could be generous, yes. They could be merciful, yes. But only when it served their power, never at power's expense. Examine modern authority. CEOs, presidents, champions. Are they pleasant men? Absolutely not. They're fair. They protect those who stand with them. But they do not bend for approval. They do not tremble at rejection. They do not fear being disliked. And that's why they're successful. You can be kind without being weak. You can be good without being pleasant, but you cannot be respected if you are weak. Strength with kindness is magnetic. Weakness with pleasantness is toxic. If you take nothing else from this, take this: stop trying to be liked. Start demanding to be respected. Because when the choice is between being feared, being loved, or being ignored, the worst fate for a man is to be invisible. Your father probably told you loyalty is everything. Be loyal to your friends. Be loyal to your company. Be loyal to your woman. But Machiavelli, he saw the world for what it is, not what it pretends to be. And his warning was brutal. Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved. Read that again. It is safer to be feared than to be loved, because love is fragile, love is conditional. Love is loyal only when it benefits the one giving it. You've seen this play out 1,000 times, but you didn't have the courage to name it. That friend who only calls when he needs something, that company that preaches we're a family until the next round of layoffs, that woman who keeps her options open while demanding your commitment. This isn't loyalty, it's exploitation dressed as affection. And here's the part most men never understand. Loyalty without reciprocity isn't noble. It's weakness. A man who keeps giving loyalty to people who don't return it isn't virtuous. He's a fool. And fools are made to be used. Think about the most powerful men you know, not the ones who pretend, but the ones who actually control their lives. Are they blindly loyal? Do they stick around after betrayal, after disrespect, after being taken for granted? Hell no. They are strategically loyal. They understand loyalty is a contract, and the moment the contract is broken, all bets are off. Here's the cold truth. Loyalty isn't about being a dog who follows no matter what. It's about being a wolf who walks beside those who prove they're worthy, and who bares his teeth the moment they're not. Machiavelli knew this. He saw kings who trusted too much get stabbed in the back. He saw leaders who thought love would protect them, only to be devoured by the same people who swore allegiance. Today, nothing's changed. The workplace, the marketplace, even your own home. Loyalty exists, but only as long as it serves someone's interest. So how do you use this knowledge? Simple. Be generous with your loyalty, but be ruthless about withdrawing it. Test people. Watch how they behave when there's nothing in it for them. Notice who shows up in your storms, not just your sunshine. And never, ever keep giving to those who bleed you dry. A man who demands loyalty but never gives it back is a tyrant, but a man who keeps giving loyalty to those who don't return it is a slave. And slaves get broken. So here's the second dark lesson. Never waste loyalty on those who can't or won't return it. Loyalty without reciprocity isn't love. It isn't honor. It isn't noble. It's weakness. And weakness gets eaten alive. But this raises a terrifying question. If loyalty is fragile, if love is conditional, then what truly protects a man? What shields him from betrayal, from exploitation, from being discarded the moment he's no longer useful? Machiavelli's answer was chilling. Not love, not loyalty, reputation. A man without reputation is already dead. He just doesn't know it yet. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." Translation: it doesn't matter who you are, it matters who they think you are. And that's where most men fail. They think authenticity means showing everything about themselves. They overshare. They expose their fears, their weaknesses, their doubts. They cry about being misunderstood, and then they wonder why no one respects them. But here's the truth. The world doesn't reward the real you. The world rewards the strategic you. Your reputation is the armor that shields you from betrayal, the sword that cuts through lies, the shadow that precedes you into every room. With a strong reputation, enemies hesitate. With a weak reputation, even your friends doubt you. Think about history. Alexander the Great conquered half the known world, not just because of strategy, but because he spread stories that he was invincible, a demigod. His enemies believed it before the battle even began. Or look at modern times. Steve Jobs didn't just build Apple. He built an aura. People called it a reality distortion field. Investors, employees, even rivals bent to his will, because his reputation made them believe he was untouchable. Now compare that to the men you know who constantly complain, constantly explain themselves, constantly try to convince others to see their true heart. They're not respected. They're pitied. Here's the dark lesson. Perception is reality. And if you don't control perception, someone else will control it for you. Want to be seen as competent? Never whine about problems. Present solutions. Want to be seen as valuable? Don't always be available. Scarcity creates worth. Want to be seen as powerful? Don't explain your decisions to people who can't affect your life. This is strategic authenticity, not being fake, but revealing only the parts of yourself that serve your goals. Reputation is like fire. Left unattended, it spreads wildly, it burns you alive. But controlled, it gives light, warmth, and power. And here's the cruelest part. Once your reputation is tainted, it takes a lifetime to repair, if it ever comes back at all. A single crack can destroy years of work, so you must guard it more fiercely than your money, more fiercely than your relationships. Because your reputation is your passport into power, and without it, you're already exiled. But reputation alone isn't enough, because there will always be those who try to destroy it, those who envy it, those who want your place. And that brings us to Machiavelli's next warning. There is no avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the advantage of others. Most men believe peace is normal, and war is an exception. Machiavelli knew better. He wrote, "There is no avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the advantage of others." Understand this. Conflict is not something that might happen. Conflict is something that is always happening. In silence, in shadows. The only question is whether you're ready for it, whether you'll be predator or prey when it arrives. Think of your life like a battlefield. In your career, someone is always watching your position, waiting for you to stumble so they can replace you. In your relationships, there's always another man willing to take your place if you grow weak. In your social circle, there's always someone testing you, seeing how far they can push before you break. Here's the brutal reality. If you're not prepared for war, you've already lost. The successful men you admire, the ones who rise above, they aren't surprised by conflict, they expect it. They train for it. They prepare during peace so they don't bleed during war. A warrior doesn't sharpen his blade the moment the enemy arrives. He sharpens it every morning, even when the field looks quiet. So how does this look in your world? In business, Amazon stockpiles cash, crushes competitors before they grow. They prepare long before the market shifts. In politics, nations build arsenals, make alliances, and infiltrate rivals during so-called peace. In your personal life, the man who stays in shape even when he isn't threatened, the man who builds his savings when money flows, the man who cultivates allies when he doesn't need them, that man survives when storms come. Machiavelli gave us the animal parable. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. Do you see it? You must be both. Cunning enough to see danger before it strikes, strong enough to crush it when it does. Most men choose one. They are clever but weak, the fox who eventually gets torn apart. Or they are strong but blind, the lion who falls into traps he never saw coming. But the man who becomes both, that man is untouchable. Here's the dark law. Don't start wars. Be prepared to finish every single one. Because here's a secret that weak men never grasp. The man who is visibly prepared for war rarely has to fight at all. Why? Because predators sense strength, and they always choose the weaker target. So build yourself into a man others are afraid to challenge. Not because you're violent, not because you're cruel, but because you radiate readiness. Train when no one is watching. Save when everyone else spends. Study when everyone else is distracted. Forge yourself into a weapon before the battle begins. Then, when war comes, and it will come, you won't panic, you'll already be ready. Let's be clear. Even with strength, cunning, reputation, and preparation, men still get destroyed for one simple reason, because they confuse being nice with being strong. And that's the final lie your father told you. People like to imagine that honesty rules the world, that truth rises to the top, that integrity always wins. That's the fairy tale, the reality. Deception has built kingdoms, toppled empires, and carved the path of history more than honesty ever has. Machiavelli wrote, A prince never lacks legitimate reasons to break his promise. Read that again. He didn't say some men lie. He didn't say only the wicked betray. He said every leader, every ruler, every person of power eventually deceives. Because deception is not corruption. Deception is survival. Look at the natural world. A fox pretends weakness to lure prey. The snake camouflages itself before it strikes. Anglerfish hides in darkness, waving its glowing lure until the victim swims into its jaws. Humans are no different. Politicians sell you dreams they never intend to fulfill. Corporations drape poison in marketing campaigns of family joy and freedom. Even in your own home, people promise loyalty, love forever, and mean it only until it costs them something. Yet most men cling to the illusion that honesty will protect them, that if they are good enough, righteous enough, the world will reward them. Fools. Machiavelli knew the truth. The deceiver will never lack victims, because men are simple, because men are desperate to believe the lie that comforts them. Here's the brutal part. If you refuse to deceive, you will still be deceived. If you refuse to play the game, you will still be a piece on someone else's board. Does this mean you should lie endlessly, cheat recklessly, betray at every turn? No. That's what idiots think power is. But it means you must master the art of controlled deception. Showing selected masks, hiding true knives, revealing just enough to keep others blind to your real intentions. The world doesn't reward pure honesty. The world rewards strategic honesty. Tell the truth when it strengthens you. Lie when it protects you. Break promises when keeping them would destroy you. And above all, never forget that everyone else is already doing the same. Here's the law no one dares admit. The honest man isn't noble, he's prey. You've been told your whole life that morality is absolute, that there's good and there's evil, that the righteous are rewarded and the wicked are punished. But Machiavelli saw through that illusion. He understood what most men never will. Morality is not truth. Morality is control. Think about it. Who decides what's good? Not you, not the masses, but the powerful. They control narratives. When rulers want obedience, they call it virtue to submit. When leaders want sacrifice, they call it honor to die for them. When elites want control, they redefine evil as anything that threatens their authority, and the masses swallow it whole, believing they're defending morality. It feels safe. It feels like the universe has order, like justice always wins. History spits on that illusion. The church burned men alive in the name of God. Nations justified slavery, conquest, and genocide in the name of civilization. Modern governments bomb cities and call it defending freedom. Morality isn't about truth. It's about narrative. And those who control the narrative control morality itself. Here's the darker twist. The powerful rarely obey the morality they preach. They don't have to. They create it for you. They tell you it's wrong to lie while deceiving you daily. They tell you it's wrong to be ruthless while crushing competitors without hesitation. They tell you it's wrong to be selfish while hoarding wealth and resources. Why? Because a population that believes in fixed morality is easy to control. They'll police themselves, they'll condemn each other, they'll bow to authority thinking it's righteous. Meanwhile, the powerful break those rules whenever they need to, because they know morality is just a tool, not a law. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince must learn how not to be good, and to use this knowledge or not use it according to necessity." This is the real law. Do not discard morality entirely. Wield it. Appear moral when it serves you. Break morality when survival demands it. And above all, never become a prisoner of someone else's moral code. Because the man who clings to morality at all costs is a pawn. But the man who bends morality to his will is a king. Every empire, every company, every family, every relationship survives on the same hidden economy. Not money, not love, not honor, but fear and reward. Machiavelli understood this law with brutal clarity. He knew men are not moved by abstract ideals, but by immediate sensations, the fear of pain and the hunger for pleasure. Strip away the decorations of morality, religion, politics, and you'll find the same machinery underneath. Kings keep their crowns not by divine right, but because the people fear their wrath more than they hate their rule. Corporations keep employees in line with the dangling carrot of a promotion and the whip of unemployment. Parents raise children not through wisdom alone, but through rewards and punishments. woven into daily life. This is the true law of control. He who controls the balance of fear and reward controls the man. Look around you. The politician who promises safety from enemies while offering tax breaks. The preacher who promises paradise while warning of hellfire. The lover who withholds affection as punishment, then floods it as reward. These aren't accidents. They are ancient, deliberate tactics. Most men fail because they only offer one side. They try to lead with love, giving rewards endlessly until their gifts lose value. Or they try to lead with fear, ruling with cruelty until rebellion brews. Machiavelli knew the secret. The art is in the balance. Too much reward breeds entitlement. Too much fear breeds revolt. But a man who can alternate between both, who can withhold affection to create hunger, then deliver it at the peak of desire, that man creates loyalty stronger than chains. Think of the abusive relationship where the victim stays. Why? Because after the cruelty comes kindness. After the storm becomes calm, the cycle itself becomes addictive. Think of the tyrant who survives decades in power. Why? Because he punishes enough to inspire fear but rewards just enough to prevent despair. And now turn the mirror to yourself. How do you influence others? Through endless giving, hoping they'll love you back. Through cold control, forcing them to obey. Both are weak. The true Machiavellian mixes the two like poison and honey, crafting dependence so deep that escape feels impossible. This is how you must think. What does this person fear losing most? What does this person crave most desperately? And how can I position myself as the one who controls both? Once you answer that, you own them. People speak of trust as if it were stone, unshakable, permanent. But Machiavelli knew better. Trust is not stone. Trust is glass. It shines. It's beautiful. It reflects light. But the moment it cracks, it shatters, and it will crack, never to be whole again. Here's the first dark law. Trust is temporary. It exists only as long as it benefits both sides. Think about your own life. How quickly did a friend's trust in you vanish the moment you failed to serve their needs? How quickly did your trust in a leader collapse after a single betrayal? How many relationships have died over one broken promise, no matter how many good deeds came before it? This is not the exception. This is the rule. The man who builds his life on trust is building on glass. Eventually, it will break beneath his feet. But here's where the strong separate from the weak. The weak beg for trust, they make oaths, they plead. They demand belief in their true intentions. And when that trust shatters, they collapse with it. The strong never beg for trust, they engineer it. They manufacture it through repetition and controlled exposure. They use it as a tool, never as a foundation. Think of the con artist. He survives not because he is truly trustworthy, but because he knows how to look trustworthy. Think of the politician. He doesn't need genuine trust. He needs just enough to get the vote. Think of the seducer. He doesn't require unconditional trust. He needs just enough to lower defenses. That's the second dark law. Trust doesn't need to be real. It only needs to be convincing. And the third law is even darker. The man who trusts too much is easier to control than the man who trusts nothing at all. Because the man who trusts blindly will hand you the keys to his own destruction. He will forgive betrayal after betrayal, convinced you'll change. He will believe excuses no matter how hollow. He will cling to the illusion of trust long after it has died because the alternative terrifies him. This is why weak men are dangerous. They think trust is proof of love, proof of honor. In truth, trust is just leverage, and those who understand this hold the leash around every blind believer's neck. So burn this into your mind. Never depend on trust. Use it, shape it, exploit it. But never rest your survival on it, because trust is not stone. It is glass, and it was made to shatter. You've now seen what most men will never see, that people are not rational, they are emotional. That loyalty without reciprocity is weakness. That reputation is armor sharper than steel. That war is not coming, it is always here. That niceness is weakness disguised as virtue. That fear outlasts love. That deception is survival. That masks are necessary. That morality is a weapon. That betrayal is inevitable. That fear and reward are the true currencies of control. And that trust, The thing most men cling to is nothing but glass waiting to break. You were told not to know this. You were trained to close your eyes, obey, play nice, be harmless, but now the blindfold is off. Now you see the world not as it pretends to be, but as it truly is. Here's the most dangerous part. You can't go back. You can't unknow this. From this moment on, you'll see every smile as a calculation, every promise as a gamble, every act of virtue as a strategy. You've stepped into the darkness, and once you've seen it, the light will never blind you again. So the question is, no longer will you learn these truths. You already have. The question is, will you use them? Because knowledge like this is a weapon. In the hands of the weak, it festers into paranoia and fear, but in the hands of the strong, it becomes power, the kind of power that bends the world. If you're strong enough to carry it, then walk forward with it. If you're too weak, then bury it and pretend you never heard me speak. But for those who are ready to take the next step into this abyss, this is only the beginning. Machiavelli left us more than warnings. He left us blueprints for influence, for dominance, for survival. And I'll show you every single one. So if you want more, if you want to go deeper into the secrets that rulers, seducers, and kings have used for centuries, then listen carefully. Like this video, subscribe now, because the next lesson will not make you comfortable. It will make you untouchable. And when that happens, you will never be ignored again.